road to success and the road to happiness are two lanes of the same highway, and the toll you must pay is simply being true to yourself. Hello, this is Bob Proctor, and I'm looking forward to working with you on the Success Puzzle. I believe you're going to enjoy this journey, and you're going to get to know yourself a whole lot better as you go through each of the exercises. If you look over on page 3 of your guide, we point out here that 98% of our population are quick to agree that success in life is a puzzle. It seems to be a perpetual struggle to figure out where the pieces fit. Every time we have the picture coming together smoothly, for whatever reason, we find ourselves trying to force a piece into place. But in the end, we recognize that it does not fit, and we set it aside. Every person has their own personal puzzle. However, success in life is based on universal laws and therefore available to everyone. Many years ago, Earl Nightingale suggested that strange and marvelous things will happen with constant regularity as you alter your life and begin living in harmony with the laws of the universe. Now, as you adhere to these laws and integrate your belief with your behavior, the pieces of your personal puzzle will begin to fit. Success will become your companion, and life will be good. It will appear as if you are magnetized to every condition, person, circumstance, and thing that you require. Whatever you need will arrive just when you need it. Now, because of the increased awareness that you'll develop through studying this program, you will not even be surprised by the sudden appearance of every good that you desire. You will, however, never cease to be amazed by the absolute order in which every part of your life is fitting into place. The Success Puzzle program that you hold in your hands will prove to be your good friend. It will become your compass and will enable you to stay on the right road to a bright future. Now, let's begin putting this puzzle together. Flip over onto page 7. What is success? That's a great question, isn't it? It's a question that a lot of people are asking themselves. It's a question that totally missed my mind until after I was 26 years old. Do you know, to solve your personal success puzzle, it's important that you begin with an accurate understanding of what success means. That's the first piece of your puzzle to put in place. Misunderstanding this power word will guarantee confusion in most areas of your life. And although the proper understanding may not guarantee your success, it will certainly turn the daily exercises of putting the puzzle together into a more pleasurable experience. Now let's look at it again. What is success? Ask 100 people and you'll get 98 different answers, most of which will not work. If they did work, you would see more happy, healthy, wealthy, well-balanced people in the world. Earl Nightingale said success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That is the best definition of success I have ever found. In 1959, Earl Nightingale arrived at that definition after 17 years of intensive research. He continued to use it for 40 years before he left us in 1989. I adopted his definition and have continuously used it since 1961. Neither Earl or I have altered one word. His definition is in perfect harmony with the laws of the universe. Those 9 words will serve as your compass. They'll be your continuous checkpoint as you go from one win to another. Each win or victory always greater in nature than the previous one. Now, 4 of the 9 words contain the secret to solving this success puzzle: progressive, worthy, realization, and ideal. Each of the words on their own have special power and meaning. When they are brought together to form the concept that Earl Nightingale shared with us in 1959, their power is magnified many times. He gave us a concept that has the potential to transform our lives. Now, look on page 8. I'm going to ask you think of how important each of these 4 words are to the completion of your personal success puzzle. Describe what each word means to you in the space provided below. You see, I have worked in this industry now for most of my adult life, and I've talked to thousands, literally thousands of people from Asia to America. And time again, when Earl's definition of success came up, it was sort of passed off as set a goal and work towards it. And that's just about the way it was. And that's the way it was with me when I first saw it. But then I started to study it because I experienced some phenomenal success at a fairly young age. My income went from $4,000 a year to well over $1 million a year. I had to know what actually happened. And so I began to study, and I've never stopped. And part of my studying took me to these words, and I started to think about them. The average individual that's experiencing success, it's jerky, it's up and down, there's plateaus. That's not what progressive means. Progressive means to continually move in that one direction and realization. You see, the whole trick of life is awareness, and we want to be aware of our worthy ideal moving into physical form. Now, if we're going to realize it or become aware of it, we're going to have it. And you take a look at the next two words then, worthy ideal. We're going to find that they're the first two we want to deal with. When I first saw that, I thought, I've got to be worthy of the goal. But after studying my personality for the last 40 years, I've totally turned that around. I believe the goal or the ideal has to be worthy of us because, you see, you're going to trade your life for it. That's right. And there's no going back. Now, how about the word ideal? It's a beautiful word. Back around 1903, James Allen, the marvelous little Victorian author who wrote As a Man Thinketh, he said an ideal is an idea that you have fallen in love with. I'm going to ask you to think about those four words. Really think on them. And then put your ideas or your thoughts down on page number 8. Now, look over on page 9. I was mentioning awareness. As you proceed through this program, it's going to become apparent that you already have everything that is required to live the life you choose. Now, that probably sounds a little ridiculous to you, but as we keep studying, you're going to realize that that's correct. All that is lacking is the awareness of the abundance which surrounds you, awaiting your acceptance. The changes required to enjoy an ideal life are internal. Everything in your material world is merely the manifestation of what's taking place in your mind. There are only two sources of reference to go to when you begin to study life. One is science, and the other is theology. Under serious research, both of these areas reveal that nothing is created or destroyed. Therefore, everything we will ever need is already here, if not in one state, certainly in another. It is awareness that we are seeking. That's what you're looking for, and that's what I'm looking for. Now, I've graphically illustrated this concept on the bottom of page 9. If you'll bring your attention to the bottom of page 9, where we have simple consciousness. You come up a little bit, we have self-consciousness, and then way up at the top, we have divine or cosmic consciousness. Now, there are many, many levels of consciousness. There are millions, as a matter of fact. I've used the numbers 1 to 16 just to graphically illustrate growth or raising of consciousness. Now, think of an animal. I have a couple of little pet dogs at home. 2 of them together don't weigh 10 pounds, I don't think. They're cute little dogs, and you think they're smart at times. They're in a simple, conscious state. An animal is aware of its exterior world, but not its inner world. An animal can look without, but not within. An animal knows and yet knows not. You and I have been blessed with higher faculties. We know and we know we know. We have what's called self-consciousness. In other words, we can be consciously aware of our objective world and also consciously aware of our inner world. We can look without and we can look within. And then if you go way up, there you have divine consciousness. That's where you are aware of your oneness with your God, or whatever you refer to that which is. Now, there's many, many levels of consciousness. I'm going to ask you to put an X beside, let's say, number 5. Just to the left of number 5, put an X. And on the right-hand side of 5, put an A. Now, there we're talking about awareness on the fifth level. Now, the person's not too far removed from an animalistic state. You go into any major city or even some smaller ones, and you're going to find people laying in the gutter. They'll be absolutely filthy. They're just getting by. They're not much better off than the animals. In fact, some animals are better off than they are. Now, they have a very low level of consciousness. They lack awareness. You could say, well, they're just stupid staying like that. Well, not according to our definition of stupid. You're going to find people with a degree in medicine. You're going to find accountants and lawyers down in those Skid Row places. So they're not stupid. What do they lack? They lack awareness. Now go way up to around 16. Put an X to the left of 16 and an A to the right. Now, here we're talking about an individual that has an elevated level of consciousness. There's something about them that you're attracted to. You're not quite sure what it is. There's a calmness, there's a peace about them. They never seem to get excited, and they never get upset. Now, there's many people say, well, if they never get excited, I wouldn't want to be like that. Well, I think you probably would, because a person that gets excited when something good happens, they become depressed when something bad happens. And you see, the individual with the higher level of consciousness has a magnificent balance in their life. There's something about them that we're attracted to. When they have a problem, they just look right in at the heart of the problem and they see the solution. You never see them rattled. Now, we lie somewhere between self-consciousness and divine consciousness. Let's come up to number 7. We'll say number 7, we'll put an X to the left there, and on the right, put 50,000. Now, we're going to say that this person's conscious awareness enables them to earn $50,000 a year. They're not earning 50 because they want 50. They're earning 50 because they're not aware of how to earn 150. Go up to number 9, just above the 50, and put 150. Now, at that level of consciousness, you may earn 3 times as much. What changes in an individual? Is it what's going on outside, or is it what's going on inside? Let's take an individual, put him at number 8. We're just playing here with the numbers to illustrate a point. And we'll say this individual gets headaches. It's their head. They made it ache, and they can make it stop. You see, what they lack is the awareness of what is causing the headache. And because of their ignorance, they're probably taking those little white pills to solve their problem. And yet a pill will never solve the problem. Not in a million years. Now, we can make our head ache and we can make our head stop. We can earn whatever we want. Everything that we ever want is already here. All we have to do is develop awareness. A person that's alone and lonely is not alone and lonely because they enjoy it. They're alone and lonely because they're not aware of how to develop meaningful relationships. So as we go through the success puzzle, the objective of the puzzle is to raise your level of consciousness. Do you know, that's your point in life, is to become aware of your oneness with God. And as you keep working on developing your level of conscious awareness, it's going to be reflected in your outside world. So as you proceed through this program, it's going to be apparent that you already have everything. What you want to do is develop the awareness of how to enjoy it. Now, when you're thinking of yourself, and you have to think of yourself because it's your personal puzzle. If I asked you to think of your house, you would get an image on the screen of your mind. If I asked you to think of an automobile, you'd get an image on the automobile on the screen of your mind. If I asked you to think of yourself, what picture do you get? Well, most people get a picture of their physical body. If I ask you to think of your mind, what image do you get? You see, you and I think in pictures. Well, when the average person's thinking of their mind, they get a picture of their brain. But you know, your brain will not think. You think with your brain, but your brain won't think. Play with that for a few minutes. Your physical body is the manifestation of an activity that's called mind. There was a doctor in San Antonio, Texas, back around 1934, Dr. Thurman Fleet, who was very involved in the healing arts, and he felt that we were approaching things the wrong way. He said, all we're doing is treating the body. We're treating the symptom. We're not treating the cause of the problem. A person has a pain, we give them a pill or cut something out. I want you to imagine that you're driving down a highway and the red light on the dash of your car suddenly flashes on. Can you even imagine yourself driving into a service center, borrowing a hammer and a screwdriver and knocking the red light out, saying thanks very much as you pass them back, and then driving away. You wouldn't even give that consideration. Why do we do it with our body? Just see, the red light is a signal there's something wrong in the motor. Well, pain is a signal there's something wrong in the motor. And Dr. Thurman Fleet seemed to understand that. And if you look on page 10, there's a drawing there that graphically illustrates the mind and the body. Now, I have shown that to tens of thousands of people. And frequently when a person sees it for the first time, they snicker or smile or laugh right out loud, and they think this is so silly. But I could take you to psychiatrists, to medical doctors, to cardiovascular surgeons that'll tell you that that is one of the most magnificent concepts that they've ever had put in front of them. Because what it does, it brings order to your mind. Now, take a look at the top of page 10. We say to bring order and understanding to your mind, you must have an image to work with. Since your mind is the unseen part of your personality, you must engage your imagination to build this image. Now, this graphic illustration of the mind and body is going to assist you. You're going to come to love this drawing. Believe me, I certainly have. The stick person is used in all of my seminars to graphically illustrate the three parts of the human personality. The stick person, like all other ideas presented in the seminars, is extremely simple. Do not allow the apparent simplicity to deceive you. For the stick person concept can reveal to you a wonderful world of power, possibility, and promise. The success puzzle, like all other programs that I build, are built on the premise that you have a power within you that's far superior to any condition or circumstance around you. And with free will, your thoughts direct this power to whatever result you choose in your lifetime. Now, turn over onto page 11. Here we have taken the three parts of the personality, the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the body, and we've broken them down. And I'm going to ask that you really focus your attention on these three parts. Take a look at the conscious mind. See the little antennae sticking out there of part 1? They look like little antennae. Well, they're your sensory factors. Part 1 is your conscious mind, and your senses, your 5 senses. You can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. And information is fed into your conscious mind through your senses. Now, that's both good and bad. As Moses said, it's a blessing and a curse. We've been trained to live through those things when we should really be using our higher faculties. However, we'll come to that a little later. This is the part of you that thinks. It reasons. You see, there's a power flowing into your consciousness. It flows to you and through you. And you use this power to think. Your free will lies here. This is the part of your mind that will decide the changes required to live the type of life you really want to experience. Now, the conscious mind can accept or reject any idea. If you're highlighting, definitely highlight that. If you're underlining, definitely underline it. The conscious mind can accept or reject any idea. When an individual truly understands that, they'll never blame anyone else for what they're doing. They're going to take responsibility. It was their choice. Now, no person or circumstance can cause you to think about thoughts or ideas that you do not choose. The thoughts you choose eventually determine the results in your life. Viktor Frankl is a Viennese psychiatrist, Jewish psychiatrist, spent the war years in a German concentration camp. It was while he was in the camp that he said he realized that regardless of the intellectual and physical abuse that he had been subjected to, no one could cause him to think something he didn't want to think. That's where our freedom comes in. The thoughts you choose eventually determine the results you get. We do become what we think about. Now, all pain, pleasure, or limitation is either originated in the conscious mind or accepted uncritically from an outside source. If you were going into the hospital for a major operation, you'd be put under some form of anesthetic. Now, what the anesthetic does, it knocks the senses out of play. It puts your conscious mind to sleep. So there's no pain and there's no pleasure. You don't even know what's going on. You are unconscious. Now, if you look at the bottom of the paragraph, as you accept a thought, it is impressed upon the second part of your personality, You become what you think about. Do you know that that's the one point all great leaders all down through history have been in complete and unanimous agreement on? They have disagreed on virtually everything else.
This is the end of Side 1. Side 2 is already queued up for your listening.
Now let's take a look at page 11, part 2, the subconscious mind. And by the way, what I would recommend you do something that I did many years ago. When you think of yourself, get a picture of this drawing. And when you look at the drawing, think of yourself. I see my head as my mind. Now, I'm well aware that my mind is in my fingernail, it's in my hair, it's in every molecule of my being. Mind is movement, and my body is the manifestation of that movement, or it's an activity. However, we have to have an image to operate with, so I see the top half of my head as being my conscious mind, and the bottom half as being the subconscious. Now, here we say the ideas that have been fixed in your subconscious mind through repetition or impact form your conditioning. This is often referred to as your paradigm. Now, the subconscious mind functions in every cell of your body. Every thought your conscious mind chooses to accept, your subconscious mind must accept. It has no ability to reject. Now, if you're a psych major, you can say the conscious mind reasons inductively and deductively, but the subconscious mind is totally deductive. In other words, it only has the ability to accept. Now, we say the subconscious mind is your emotional mind. When you're emotionally upset, there's something going on in there that's not favorable. Now, take a look at the third paragraph here. This part of you operates in an orderly manner. We refer to that order as the law. Dr. Werner von Braun pointed out that the natural laws of the universe are so precise that we don't even have any difficulty building spaceships. We can send people to the moon, and we can time the landing with the precision of a fraction of a second. You see, this is your universal mind. This is the part of you that's the part of the whole universe, and it operates in a very orderly way. As a matter of fact, it's perfect. The subconscious mind expresses itself through you in feelings and actions. Now, let me repeat that. The subconscious mind expresses itself through you in feelings and actions. When you consciously say, I feel good or I feel bad, what you're really saying is, I'm consciously aware that my body is in a positive or a negative vibration. Now, stay with me. We're going to come back to that. The subconscious mind expresses itself through you in feelings and actions. Any thought you consciously choose to impress upon the subconscious over and over again becomes fixed in this part of your personality. Now, fixed ideas will then continue to express themselves without any conscious assistance. Fixed ideas are more commonly referred to as habits, and the collective habits are referred to as the conditioned mind or the paradigm. Most of your behavior is habitual. Think of when you got dressed this morning. You didn't stop and think how to put on your pants. You just pulled them on. Think of brushing your teeth. You didn't take a look at the brush and wonder what to do with it. It was all automatic. Do you know that high percentage of everything you do is on automatic pilot? A conditioned mind is controlling you. That's also part of the problem, and we're going to discuss how to alter that. Now, we say the subconscious mind is frequently referred to as the spiritual side of your personality or the universal mind. The subconscious mind knows no limits save those you consciously choose. Now, Dr. Joseph Murphy is probably one of the most prolific authors in the area of the mind and the body that I've ever come across in the last 40 years. He's written a book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. He wrote many books. But The Power of the Subconscious Mind is a wonderful book. It's an easy book to read, and it's a book that I recommend every person getting involved with this puzzle buy and read. In fact, I've been telling people to buy it for many, many years. Now take a look at the body. Take a look at your body. You can take your hand, hold it up in front of your face. It looks solid, doesn't it? Do you know that if you looked at your body under a microscope, you would see nothing but a glistening, radiating, gleaming form? Your body is a molecular structure. It's a bipolar instrument. Your body is a mass of energy at a high speed of vibration. Now, although the body is the most obvious part of you, often referred to as the material medium. It is the instrument of the mind or the house you live in. So I would suggest you be good to it. Now, the thoughts or images that are consciously chosen, impressed upon the subconscious, which is in every cell of your body, must move your body into action. The actions you're involved with determine your results. Now, take a look on page 12. Here we're talking about success, mind, and attitude. And I'd like to help you understand there is only one mind. There are millions and millions of people, but there's only one mind. Mind is a universal power. It's a movement. We are all individualized expressions of the mind. Ask any successful person what tops the list of priorities for a happy, successful life, and they'll be quick to reply, the proper attitude. Earl Nightingale's program, Lead the Field, the first tape, the magic word, was attitude. I bet I've listened to that 10,000 times over the years. And it is a magic word, because your attitude is going to determine everything in your life. Now, what is attitude? It's a pretty good question. Go and ask a few people what attitude is. Find out what their thoughts on it are. Your attitude is the composite of your thoughts, feelings, and actions, which in turn produces results. Now think about this for a moment. I want you to imagine that I visited your home, and you served coffee or tea and cake. And I had a piece of the cake, and I said to you, wow, great icing. I don't think so. You'd never hear anyone say, hey, great spice. We'd say that's great cake. What is cake? Cake is the composite of a number of different ingredients. Well, that's exactly what attitude is. Attitude is the composite of your thoughts. That's the activity of the conscious mind, your feelings, activity of the subconscious mind, and your body, the material medium, the instrument of the mind. Now take a look at the graphic illustration on page 12. You'll see the arrows indicating energy is, and it's flowing into your consciousness. It is without form. It's neither good nor bad. It's neither positive or negative. It just is. There's a power flowing into your consciousness, and you have the ability to choose any idea you want. Now, what you're really choosing is pictures, because we think in pictures. You can choose a good picture or a bad picture. I want you to imagine that you're picking up the newspaper and reading it. The newspaper is nothing but a mass of suggestions, and generally fairly negative ones, so the pictures you get then probably wouldn't be too good. Pick up a very inspirational book, one that's going to teach you something of value about yourself. I would imagine the suggestions coming from that book would be of value. See, a book is a picture painted in words. Now, when the idea comes into the consciousness, we build images with it. We turn those images over to the subconscious mind. That's the feeling mind. Now, the idea that you turn over is going to dictate the vibration that your body's in, because simultaneous with it impressing it, it's expressed. Whatever's impressed must be expressed. So the idea is expressed through the body in action. Now, the action sets up a reaction. You'll see on the bottom of page 12, your actions cause a reaction. Write reaction in there. Now, it's the action-reaction that alters the conditions, the circumstance, and environment in your life. So the CCE is for conditions, circumstance, and environment. Now, you add all those up, and they spell results. Now, what is it you want to change in your life? You want to change your results. You want to change your income. You want to change how you feel physically. You want to change relationships. You want a better position at work. What do you want? This is where it starts. This is where it starts. If your results are going to change, your condition, circumstance, and environment must change. And before it can change, you must get involved in new actions. So you have to get involved in new thoughts, which cause new feelings, which set up new actions. This is really very basic. I teach this to children, but I also teach it to corporate executives. I have worked for many Fortune 100 companies. As a matter of fact, a program with this concept in it was chosen by Malaysia Airlines over 100 other companies when they wanted to shift the results of 10,000 people. Now look at what William James said. This is around the turn of the century, back around 1900. He said, the greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. Now let's go back and take a look at this drawing again on page 12. Remember, we said ideas that are impressed upon the subconscious mind over and over and over and over again become fixed. When an idea is fixed in there, that idea is a habit. And that idea will express itself through your body in action without any conscious thought. Stop and think of the number of things that you're doing. You're walking, you're standing, you're sitting. You didn't know how to do those things when you were born. You had to be programmed to do them. And if you weren't programmed, you'd still be down on all fours. Habits express themselves through you in action, and the action sets up reactions. Now, the truth is, most people are involved in the same actions, getting the same reactions, and the condition, circumstance, and environment does not change, so neither do their results. Now, I want to suggest you flip over onto page 13. Let's take a look at how we arrive on the planet. We make our debut. The conscious faculties have not developed. You'll see on page 13 there are 3 illustrations, 1, 2, and 3. Let's focus on 1, and the individual we want to focus on is the second person in from the left, the one without the conscious faculties developed. Now, that graphically illustrates a brand new baby. The baby's subconscious mind is wide open. It will accept anything you want to give to it. Anything. It has no ability to reject. You could take a baby out of an English-speaking home in Chicago, New York, or Toronto, and take that baby to Beijing, go to a suburb, give it to a Chinese family who have never heard the English language. That little English baby would grow up fluent in Chinese, absolutely no knowledge of the English language. Why? Because that's the way it's programmed. Most of your prejudices, your likes, your dislikes, your beliefs are programmed in from outside. You and I are the product of somebody else's habitual way of thinking. Now, when a baby arrives, the mind is wide open. And look at the quote by Dr. J.B. Rhine. He said, "The mind is the greatest power in all of creation." I've had people argue with me on that and say, no, God is the greatest power in all of creation. No, God is the creator. The mind is the creation. And it is the greatest power in all of creation. Well, when a baby arrives, the subconscious mind is wide open. Now, the 2 individuals to the right of the baby and the one to the left just graphically illustrate people that are around the baby. Do you know all their thoughts are going right into that baby's mind? Everything they say, everything they feel, we're communicating that to the baby's subconscious mind. If you walk into a room and another person's upset, you feel it. Well, so does the baby. If you're handling horses and you're afraid of the horse will react. If you're handling dogs and you're afraid of the dog will react. Well, if dogs and horses react to our energy, don't you think babies do? Of course they do. Do you know that a baby that is born into a welfare family, odds are pretty good they're going to grow up and be on welfare? Almost all welfare recipients are 3rd, 4th, 5th generation welfare recipients. You see, you can teach a baby anything. A baby at birth is a linguistic genius. You can teach a baby many languages. You can teach a baby to read before it can talk. You can teach a baby all the master painters of the world before they can talk. And when a baby can talk at around 2.5 years old, you can give them a book on the CAT scan. They'd read it to you. Take them to an art gallery, and they'll tell you that's a Van Gogh, that's a Monet, that's a Rembrandt. Now, you may have heard this just for the first time. Anything we don't understand, we have a tendency to criticize or ridicule. This is being done. Glenn Doman, who heads up the Institute for the Development of Human Potentials over in Philadelphia, worked with brain-damaged children for 40 years. Then he thought, what could I do with healthy children? He took a little baby that was considered a vegetable, not even an animal, Brandon, and in a matter of 8 years, had the child back to normal state of intelligence and could run a mile in 14 minutes. All things are possible. Our problem is we're not aware of what we're working with. So we're surrounded by people that are programming us. I was, and you were. Now, come down to number 2. The subconscious mind is programmed. I'm going to say it's programmed with X-type energy, X being the unknown factor. Now, do you know that that kind of energy is going to dictate what kind of thoughts you're going to entertain. It's going to dictate how you like to entertain yourself. And you know that we gravitate towards people that are very much like ourselves. Now, look over to the right-hand side of number 2. You'll see ideas coming from a television set and ideas coming from another person to the conscious mind. Now, this person has the ability to take that idea and reject it, which is illustrated with B, or they can get emotionally involved with it, which is illustrated with A. Let's suppose the suggestion's very negative and they accept it. They accept it because they're not thinking. I remember one time Earl Nightingale said if most people said what they were thinking, they'd be speechless, and I'm inclined to agree with them. You see, mental activity does not constitute thinking. Now, this person should be thinking. When somebody fires ideas, if we're not thinking, the ideas go right into our subconscious mind. And through repetition, we can have some funny things happen. Why do you think we have such high juvenile crime? Do you think it's an accident? You'll hear people say, well, the television doesn't make a difference. Why do they charge $1 million, $2 million for a 30-minute commercial during the Super Bowl? Well, everybody says it's because there's so many people. That's part of the answer. The other part is because of the subjective state that people are in. The television set is programming your subconscious mind to buy, to do, to be what you are. So is the newspapers, so are the people you're surrounded by. Now come down to number 3. Take a good look at this. There is an invisible power that's flowing to your consciousness as I speak. It flows to and through us, and it never stops. As it's leaving us, you can literally photograph the energy leaving the body. Semyon Kirlian, the Russian photographer, perfected Kirlian photography way back in the 30s. And you can photograph mass, and you can photograph the energy around it. And with an individual, you can photograph the energy leaving the body. And as the individual changes the images in their mind, the density and the color of that energy will change. It is so potent, it'll penetrate a camera, penetrate a film. Now, those ideas that you impress are going to control your behavior, and your behavior controls your result. This is the first piece of the puzzle, and I'm going to tell you, it's a mighty important piece of the puzzle. Now, you may be saying, well, Bob, I've seen some of this in other programs that you do. You're going to see this in every program that I do, because this is you, and the program's made for you. Now, keep in mind, I've been going over this drawing since it was first introduced to me by Leland Val van de Waal, dating way back in the late 60s. I've been going over it every day. You can't get too much of this. I want to suggest that you flip over now onto page 14. And you'll see here, in your own words, describe what you feel you have learned from carefully analyzing this first piece of your success puzzle.
This is the end of Side 2. Please fast forward the tape to the end to cue up Side 1 for your next listening.